The anomaly appeared on Europa Station's quantum sensors at precisely 0347 Earth Standard Time. Commander Olivia Reeves had been reviewing maintenance logs when the alert chirped through her neural interface, a sound she hadn't heard in her 15 years of deep space service. The reading was impossible, a tear in spacetime itself, manifesting just beyond Jupiter's ice-covered moon. "Run diagnostic sequence Beta 9, she commanded, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The massive windows of the observation deck showed nothing unusual in the star-studded expanse, but the sensors didn't lie. Something was out there. The diagnostic completed with a soft chime. All systems nominal. This was real. Computer, initiate Protocol Sentinel. Authorization Reeves Delta 79. The station's AI responded immediately, sending alerts to key personnel across the facility. Within minutes, the observation deck filled with bleary-eyed scientists and technicians, all staring at the impossible readings. Dr. Thomas Reeves, no relation to the commander despite sharing her surname, pushed his way through the crowd. The quantum physicist's dark skin seemed ashen in the blue glow of the holographic displays. "Commander, these readings, they're structured. This isn't a natural phenomenon." Olivia nodded grimly. "I know. The question is, what are we dealing with?" The answer came 3 hours later, as the tear in spacetime expanded. The void itself seemed to part like a curtain, revealing something that shouldn't exist, a ship, if you could call it that. The vessel resembled a geometric impossibility, its surfaces shifting and flowing like liquid mathematics. "Multiple energy signatures detected," announced Lieutenant James Rodriguez from his station. They're unlike anything in our database." Before Olivia could respond, every screen in the observation deck flickered. The station's AI spoke, its voice unusually hesitant. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission. The encoding is unlike any known protocol, but I can translate it." "Put it through," Olivia ordered, straightening her uniform. The entire room held its breath. The message that filled their screens was deceptively simple: "We come seeking the anomaly. You are not what we expected to find." Dr. Reeves laughed, a sound tinged with hysteria. "They're calling us the anomaly? That's rich coming from a ship that just bent space itself." "Send response on all frequencies," Olivia commanded. "This is Commander Olivia Reeves of Europa Station. We represent humanity and the Earth Alliance. Please identify yourselves." The response was immediate, but puzzling. "We are the Collective of Understanding. For 10,000 years, we have searched for species that defy the universal constants. You should not be possible." Over the next several hours, more ships arrived through similar tiers in space. Each vessel was different from the last, some organic, others mechanical, and some defying classification entirely. The Collective, as they called themselves, represented a union of civilizations that had evolved according to what they called natural law. But humanity, they explained, was different. We had developed in ways that violated their understanding of species evolution. Our technology, our society, our very thoughts followed patterns they had never seen in countless other civilizations. "Your quantum computers should not work," one of their scientists explained during the initial exchange. "Your social structures should have collapsed centuries ago. Your art, it creates emotional responses that our models cannot explain." As Olivia coordinated with Earth's leadership, she began to understand the true magnitude of this encounter. Humanity wasn't just meeting alien life, we were meeting beings who considered our very existence a scientific impossibility. "They're afraid of us," Dr. Reeves realized, studying the data streams they'd been sharing. "Not because we're dangerous, but because we prove their understanding of the universe is incomplete." The first physical meeting was arranged for the following day. As Olivia prepared the station's main conference room, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe was about to change. Lieutenant Rodriguez approached her with a tablet. "Commander, preliminary analysis of their shared scientific database shows they're thousands of years ahead of us in most fields. But... He paused, looking troubled. But what, Lieutenant? But they've never invented pizza. Or dogs. Or mystery novels. They don't have anything like music or dance. Their art is all mathematical patterns. It's like they're missing something fundamental that we take for granted. Olivia smiled, feeling a strange mix of pride and concern. Tomorrow, representatives of Earth would sit down with beings who could fold space like paper, yet couldn't understand why humans told stories to their children. As she watched the alien ships shimmer against the backdrop of Jupiter, Olivia realized that this wasn't just first contact. This was humanity's first step into a galaxy that had no idea what to make of them. And perhaps that was exactly why they needed us. Dr. Marcus Blackwood stood in his laboratory aboard Europa Station, staring at equations that seemed to mock everything he thought he knew about quantum mechanics. The holographic display showed the inner workings of the collective's faster-than-light drive, a technology that should have been impossible according to every physics textbook ever written. "You're looking at it wrong," he muttered to himself, running his hand through his graying hair. "They all are." For 2 weeks since first contact, the brightest minds of both humanity and the collective had been sharing information, each side baffled by the other's approach to science. But Marcus had noticed something nobody else had, a pattern in the chaos. Computer, overlay human cognitive wave patterns during creative problem-solving with the quantum fluctuations in the alien drive core. The AI complied, and Marcus held his breath. The patterns matched perfectly. "Get me Commander Reeves," he said, his voice trembling with excitement. "Now." Olivia arrived 20 minutes later, accompanied by ZYX-427, one of the collective's chief scientists. The alien's crystalline form shifted colors as it moved, a sign of emotional state that humans were still learning to interpret. "This better be good, Dr. Blackwood," Olivia said, but her eyes showed curiosity rather than annoyance. Marcus gestured to the holographic display. "Look at this. The collective's FTL drive works by creating quantum tunnels through spacetime. They achieved this through centuries of careful, logical progression in their understanding of physics. But here's the thing, humans reached similar theoretical conclusions through completely different means." ZYX-427's crystal structure pulsed with deep blue light. "Explain." Marcus pulled up another set of data. "Human creativity doesn't follow logical patterns. We make intuitive leaps, we dream, we imagine impossible things and then try to make them real. Our quantum computers work because we didn't know they shouldn't. We broke the rules because we never fully understood them in the first place." "But that's not science," ZYX-427 protested, its color shifting to a confused yellow. "Isn't it?" Marcus countered. "Look at these brain wave patterns from human artists, musicians, and scientists during moments of inspiration. Now look at the quantum fluctuations in your drive core. They're identical." Olivia leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "I'm suggesting that human consciousness naturally interfaces with quantum reality in ways the collective has never seen before. We don't just think outside the box, we don't even see the box. That's why our technology works in ways that confound them. We're not breaking the universe's rules, we're intuiting them at a fundamental level." The implications were staggering. Marcus pulled up more data, showing how human artistic expression created quantum patterns that matched advanced alien mathematics. Every human creative act, from a child's crayon drawing to a symphony, was actually manipulating quantum reality in ways the collective had spent millennia trying to understand. "This is why they found us," Marcus continued. "We're not just an anomaly, we're a bridge between classical physics and quantum reality. Our creativity, our imagination, our ability to make intuitive leaps, it's all connected to something fundamental about the universe itself. ZYX 427's crystalline form had begun to resonate at a frequency that made the lab's instruments hum. If this is correct, it changes everything we thought we knew about consciousness and quantum mechanics. It changes more than that, Marcus said softly. The collective has been trying to understand the universe through pure logic and mathematics. But what if the universe isn't just equations? What if consciousness, human consciousness specifically, is an integral part of how reality works? Commander Reeves was already accessing her neural interface. I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Joint Science Council. Dr. Blackwood, I want you to present these findings. But Marcus held up his hand. There's more. I think I know why the collective civilizations all developed along similar paths. They're missing something we take for granted, the ability to truly create, to imagine things that have never existed. They can innovate, but only along predetermined lines. And humans? Olivia asked. We're random number generators in a deterministic universe. We're quantum chaos engines wrapped in human form. Every time we dream, every time we create art or music or stories, we're actually manipulating the quantum fabric of reality itself. We just never realized we were doing it. ZYX 427's color had shifted to a deep purple that none of them had seen before. Your species, you are not just an anomaly. You are a key we never knew we were searching for. As Marcus prepared his presentation for the Joint Council, he couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity had spent centuries looking up at the stars, wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now they discovered that not only were they not alone, but they might be the most important species in the galaxy, not because of their technology or their achievements, but because of their dreams, their stories, and their ability to imagine the impossible. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for dreamers all along. Admiral Helena Torres paced the secure briefing room aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship Hyperion, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic displays showing the positions of both human and collective vessels throughout the solar system. The revelation about human consciousness and quantum mechanics had sent shockwaves through both civilizations, but something wasn't adding up. Play the signal intercept again, she ordered. The AI complied, filling the room with a cryptographic transmission they'd captured between collective ships. Their allies hadn't bothered encrypting it, they didn't think humans could detect the quantum-entangled communications in the first place. The message was troubled, the humans' quantum interface capabilities exceed all projections. Consensus is fragmenting. Some believe intervention may be necessary. Lieutenant Sophia Patel, Torres's head of intelligence, stepped forward. Admiral, we've detected unusual energy signatures from 3 of the collective ships. They're similar to weapon systems, but different. Helena nodded, her jaw tight. She'd spent 30 years in the Earth Defense Force, rising through the ranks by trusting her instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming that they were missing something crucial. Get me Commander Reeves and Dr. Blackwood on a secure channel, she ordered. Minutes later, their holograms appeared in the briefing room. We need to talk about what the collective isn't telling us. Marcus Blackwood's hologram flickered as he gestured excitedly. I've been analyzing more of their scientific database. Admiral, they've known about quantum consciousness for centuries. They've studied it in other species. Other species? Olivia Reeves leaned forward, her holographic form shimmering. They told us we were unique. We are, but not in the way they claimed. Marcus pulled up complex datasets. Every species they've encountered had some level of quantum consciousness potential. But in every case, the collective guided their development along proper lines, suppressing that capability before it could fully emerge. Helena felt her blood run cold. They've been engineering the evolution of entire civilizations. Why? Fear. Marcus's voice was grim. According to their records, the last species that developed full quantum consciousness potential destroyed themselves in an event they call the Sundering. The collective believes uncontrolled quantum consciousness eventually leads to catastrophic reality breakdown. Lieutenant Patel spoke up. But they didn't catch us in time. We developed differently. Exactly. Helena turned to face the gathered holograms. And now they're afraid of what we might become. Those energy signatures we detected, they're not weapons in the conventional sense. They're quantum dampeners, designed to suppress consciousness itself. Commander Reeves cursed. They're planning to lobotomize our entire species at the quantum level. Not if I have anything to say about it. Helena activated the ship's general quarters alert. But we need to be smart about this. We can't match their technology in a direct confrontation. Maybe we don't have to, Marcus interjected. Remember what we learned about human creativity? If their theories are correct, our quantum consciousness gives us capabilities they can't predict or counter. We just need to figure out how to use them intentionally. Helena smiled grimly. Dr. Blackwood, I need you to gather every creative person you can find, artists, musicians, writers, dreamers. Commander Reeves, prepare Europa Station for potential evacuation. Lieutenant Patel, get me everything we have on those quantum dampeners. Over the next 24 hours, Helena coordinated the most unusual defense force in human history. While the Earth Defense Fleet maintained its regular patrols, hundreds of humanity's most creative minds were brought to secure facilities. Musicians composed pieces that, when played, created quantum interference patterns. Artists painted works that somehow affected sensor readings. Writers crafted stories that, when read aloud, generated quantum fields the collective couldn't penetrate. It's working, Marcus reported, his hologram showing clear excitement. Every creative act is strengthening our quantum presence. The collective's dampeners can't get a lock on us because we're not following any pattern they can predict. Helena watched as the tactical display showed the collective ship's shifting position. They knew something was happening, but their rigid, logical minds couldn't comprehend what humans were doing. It was like trying to calculate the exact position of a quantum particle. The more they tried to pin it down, the more it slipped away. Admiral, Lieutenant Patel called out, we're detecting changes in the collective fleet. Some of their ships their quantum signatures are changing. They're beginning to show patterns similar to ours. Helena leaned forward, realization dawning. They're learning from us. Just by observing human creativity, they're starting to awaken their own suppressed quantum consciousness. A new transmission came through from the collective flagship, this one broadcast openly, we request immediate dialogue. Our understanding was incomplete. The patterns, we begin to see them now. The music. The colors. The stories. How do you bear it? As Helena prepared to respond, she caught her reflection in the window, the earth shining blue and beautiful behind her. Humanity had spent its existence creating, dreaming, and imagining, never realizing that each creative act was teaching them to dance with the quantum fabric of reality itself. The collective had spent millennia afraid of this power, trying to control it, never understanding that it wasn't meant to be controlled, it was meant to be embraced. Open a channel, she ordered. Tell them we're ready to talk. But this time, let's start with a story. Dr. Rajesh Patel stood in the newly established Quantum Consciousness Research Center beneath the Himalayan mountains, surrounded by an array of both human and collective monitoring equipment. The facility had been constructed in record time after the near confrontation in space, designed to be a neutral ground where both species could study the phenomenon that connected them. Neural pathway activation sequence initiating, announced the lab's AI as a young woman named Fiona sat in the testing chamber, paintbrush in hand. Rajesh watched in fascination as both conventional and quantum sensors recorded her brain activity while she painted. Through the observation window, members of the collective watched with their various sensory organs. Among them was Val, 299, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, who had become one of the first of their kind to embrace creative expression. The quantum fluctuations are beginning, Val, 299 observed, their energy form pulsing with newfound excitement. Watch the pattern emergence. As Fiona's brush stroked across the canvas, creating an abstract landscape that existed only in her imagination, the quantum sensors exploded with activity. But something new was happening, something they hadn't seen before. "Look at this," Rajesh called out, pointing to a particular data stream. "The quantum field isn't just responding to her creativity, it's anticipating it. The universe itself is reaching out to meet her imagination halfway." Val 299 moved closer to the displays, their crystalline structure resonating with the quantum frequencies. "We are observing what we call reality consensus negotiation. Your species doesn't just interact with quantum fields, you engage in a dialogue with reality itself." Rajesh's team had been making breakthrough after breakthrough in understanding how human consciousness affected the quantum fabric of the universe. But this was different. This suggested that the relationship went both ways. "Bring up the historical database," he ordered. "Cross-reference major human creative and scientific breakthroughs with quantum field fluctuations." The AI compiled the data, and a pattern emerged that took Rajesh's breath away. Every major leap forward in human history, the invention of writing, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the digital age, corresponded with massive spikes in quantum field activity. "We didn't just create these things," he whispered. "The universe was helping us. Every time we imagined something new, reality itself reached out to help us make it real." Val 299's energy form flickered with what Rajesh had learned to recognize as profound realization. "This explains the sundering. The species we lost, they didn't destroy themselves. They tried to force reality to conform to their will, rather than engaging in dialogue with it." The implications were staggering. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their creativity or their quantum consciousness, it was their instinctive understanding of how to cooperate with reality itself. Every child who ever dreamed, every artist who ever created, every scientist who ever wondered, what if, was participating in a cosmic dance with the universe. "Bring in the next test subject," Rajesh called out. This time, it was one of the collective, a being named F521 who had recently learned to sing. As their crystalline form began to emit complex harmonics, the quantum sensors showed something extraordinary. "The patterns," Val 299 exclaimed. "They're harmonizing with human quantum signatures." Rajesh watched in amazement as the data showed the collective members' quantum consciousness awakening, not through logical progression or careful study, but through pure creative expression. They were learning to dance with reality just as humans had always done. Dr. Patel, called out one of his assistants, were detecting quantum field responses from all over the facility. It's like reality itself is celebrating." And in a way, it was. The universe had been waiting for species that could truly engage with it, not just exist within it. Humans had developed this ability naturally, and now they were teaching it to others. The collective's fear of quantum consciousness had been misplaced. It wasn't a force to be controlled, but a conversation to be joined. Rajesh sent his findings to Admiral Torres and the Joint Human Collective Council. As he watched F521 continue their song, now joined by several human musicians in an impromptu concert that was literally reshaping quantum fields, he understood that they were witnessing the birth of something unprecedented. "We're not just studying quantum consciousness anymore," he told Val 299. "We're learning the true language of the universe. And it turns out that language isn't math or physics, it's art and music and stories and dreams." The universe, they were discovering, wasn't a place of cold equations and rigid laws. It was alive in its own way, eager to play and create with those who knew how to listen. Humanity had always known this somehow, expressing it through myths and fairy tales and songs. Now, finally, they could prove it. And as the collective learned to embrace their own creative potential, the boundaries between their civilizations began to blur. They were becoming something new together, something that neither species could have become alone. 1 year after first contact, Commander Olivia Reeves stood on the observation deck of Europa Station, but this time she wasn't alone. Besides her human crew, the station now housed dozens of collective beings, each one unique in form and function. They were preparing for humanity's first step into true galactic civilization, not as subjects or students, but as teachers. The quantum harmonics are aligned, reported Dr. Marcus Blackwood from his new laboratory, where crystalline beings worked alongside human scientists. The creative resonance field is stable. Admiral Helena Torres's hologram appeared in the center of the deck, her expression both serious and hopeful. All Earth Defense Force ships are in position. The collective fleet is standing by. Dr. Patel, are you ready? Rajesh Patel's voice came through from the Himalayan facility. Ready, Admiral. Our quantum consciousness monitoring networks are active worldwide. We're detecting unprecedented levels of coherence. What they were attempting had never been done before, a deliberate, coordinated expansion of consciousness across two civilizations. The goal wasn't just communication or cooperation, but true synthesis. Begin the convergence sequence, Olivia ordered. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, humans and collective members began their carefully choreographed performance. Musicians played instruments designed by both species, creating harmonies that rippled through quantum fields. Artists worked on massive collaborative pieces that somehow existed in more dimensions than humans could see. Writers and storytellers wove tales that became real in ways science was only beginning to understand. In orbit around Earth, ships from both civilizations moved in precise patterns, their quantum drive synchronizing with the creative energies being generated. The space between dimensions began to shimmer with possibility. We're detecting quantum field amplification, Marcus reported, his voice tight with excitement. The universe is responding. Through the station's windows, Olivia watched as reality itself seemed to soften. The rigid boundaries between what was possible and impossible began to blur, not in a dangerous way like the sundering, but in a dance of infinite potential. Val, 299, now serving as the collective's chief liaison, pulsed with rainbow energies. We are beginning to perceive what you have always known. The universe is not a machine to be understood, but a partner to be embraced. The quantum fields surrounding Earth pulsed with colors that had no names, carrying messages that couldn't be translated into any language. But somehow, everyone understood. Human consciousness had evolved to dance with reality, and now they were teaching the collective not just the steps, but the joy of the dance itself. Look! Lieutenant Sophia Patel called out, pointing to the sensor displays. The quantum field fluctuations were spreading beyond the solar system, carrying the combined creative resonance of both species to the stars. From the Himalayan facility, Rajesh's voice was filled with wonder. We're detecting responses from other systems. Not just collective worlds, new civilizations, ones we haven't met yet. They're reaching back to us. This was what the universe had been waiting for. Not a single species achieving quantum consciousness, but multiple civilizations learning to harmonize their consciousness together. The collective's fear of the sundering had been based on a misunderstanding. It wasn't uncontrolled quantum consciousness that was dangerous, but isolation. Consciousness, like creativity itself, needed connection to flourish. Admiral, Olivia called out, request permission to proceed with Phase 2. Helena's hologram nodded. Granted, Commander. Take us into the future. The combined fleet began to move, guided by both human intuition and collective precision. The ships weren't just traveling through space anymore, they were traveling through possibility itself, rewriting the rules of reality not through force but through creativity and cooperation. As they ventured into the unknown, Olivia realized that this was more than just a new chapter in human history. It was a new chapter in the story of consciousness itself. Humans had spent millennia looking up at the stars, telling stories about what might be out there. Now they were teaching the galaxy how to tell its own stories. The universe, they discovered, had never been a cold, empty void waiting to be conquered. It had been a canvas waiting for artists, a stage waiting for dancers, a story waiting for storytellers. And humanity, in all its chaotic, creative glory, had turned out to be exactly what it needed. You know, Marcus said softly, watching the quantum fields shimmer with new possibilities, we spent so long wondering if we were alone in the universe. Turns out the universe itself was just waiting for someone to play with. As their ships moved into the quantum slipstream, carrying the combined dreams of two civilizations to the stars, Olivia smiled. This wasn't the end of their story, it was just the beginning of a much bigger one. And this time, everyone would get to help tell it. The species that had altered the course of the galaxy had done so not through power or technology, but through the simple, profound act of teaching others how to dream. And in doing so, they had awakened something that had been sleeping since the beginning of time, the universe's own imagination.